Have you ever stopped and asked yourself this question? Why is it that some people seem to succeed at everything they touch, while others work hard their entire lives and still remain stuck? If you are listening to this right now, there is only one reason. You are tired. Tired of waking up to the same mornings, the same routine, the same people, the same problems. You check your bank balance, and something quietly breaks inside your chest. Your dreams are big, bigger than most people around you, but the path ahead feels blurred. Your parents have expectations. You made promises to yourself, and yet every month somehow just passes by. And the heaviest truth of all, you know you have potential. You know you are capable of more. But your true power is still trapped inside you. I'm not guessing. I know this feeling, because I stood in the same place once. My name is Napoleon Hill, and when I was 25 years old, I had nothing. No money, no influence, no degree, no connections. Just one restless question burning inside me. If the human mind is so powerful, why do most people live such limited lives? In the year 1908, my life changed direction. I met the man who was considered the richest individual in the world at that time, Andrew Carnegie. He looked at me and said, "Napoleon, there exists a kingdom that cannot be seen with the eyes, but it decides who rises and who struggles forever." Then he gave me a challenge. Will you spend 20 years researching this kingdom without earning a single dollar from it? I said yes. Not because I was brave, but because something inside me woke up. Over the next 25 years, I studied the lives of the most successful people of my era, inventors, industrialists, leaders, builders of empires. And I asked every one of them the same question: how did you become successful? The answer shattered everything the world teaches us about success. Success is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not destiny. Success is a science. Just as water always boils at 100 degrees, success follows fixed laws. Ignore the laws and nothing happens. Follow them, and success becomes unavoidable. The first law is simple, but it changes everything. Your thoughts create your reality. What runs inside your mind eventually appears in your life. I once asked Thomas Edison, after failing more than 10,000 times, how did you never give up? He smiled and said, "Napoleon, I never once thought of myself as failing. In my mind, I kept seeing the light bulb already glowing, night after night, morning after morning. And eventually reality had no choice but to follow. This is not magic. This is how the human mind works. Your mind is a magnet. Whatever you hold in it consistently, you attract. Starting today, the moment you wake up each morning, close your eyes for 5 minutes. See your dream as if it already exists. The home, the freedom, the confidence, the financial ease. Do not just imagine it, feel it. Do this for 30 days, and you will notice something strange. The world around you will begin to shift. But here is the truth most people never tell you. Thinking alone is not enough, because desire and decision are not the same thing, and that is where your real journey begins. When Andrew Carnegie finished speaking, the room went silent, not because he had said something dramatic, but because he had said something true. He explained that the world is divided into two invisible groups. One group works hard their entire lives and never understands why they remain stuck. The other group seems to move differently. They think differently. They decide differently. And that difference is not education. It is not luck. It is not background. It is understanding. Carnegie told me that most people live without knowing that their lives are governed by laws, mental laws. Just like gravity does not ask whether you believe in it before pulling you down, these laws do not ask for belief. They simply work, whether you understand them or ignore them. That night I made a vow. I would spend my life uncovering these laws and translating them into something ordinary people could use. Not theories, not philosophy, practical truth. Over the next decades, I sat across from men who had reshaped history, inventors who were laughed at before the world depended on them, businessmen who were broke before they became legends. Every time, I noticed the same pattern. Success was never accidental. It followed a sequence. First, a clear inner picture. Before success ever appeared in the physical world, it existed in the mind with sharp clarity, not as a wish, but as a certainty. Second, a decision that burned bridges. Successful people did not hope. They committed. They reached a point where going back was no longer an option. And third, faith-backed action. Not blind faith, not waiting faith, but the kind of belief that forces you to move even when evidence is missing. This is where most people fail. They wait for confidence before taking action. But confidence comes after action, not before it. Henry Ford once told me something that stayed with me forever. He said, "Napoleon, the moment I decided to build a V8 engine that everyone said was impossible, my mind stopped asking if and started asking how." That shift, from whether something is possible to how it will be done, changes everything. You see, the human mind is not designed to serve indecision. Indecision creates friction. Friction drains energy, and drained energy looks like laziness, fear, or confusion. But clarity unlocks power. That is why most people stay exhausted. They wake up every morning without a clear decision about who they are becoming. They live in reaction mode, responding to bills, people, circumstances. And slowly their life becomes a reflection of what they tolerate instead of what they choose. Let me tell you something important. The world does not respond to need. It responds to certainty. People say, "I need money. I need success. I need change." But need carries weakness. Decision carries authority. The moment you decide, not emotionally, but deliberately, your mind reorganizes itself around that decision. Your attention sharpens. Your intuition wakes up. Opportunities that were invisible before suddenly appear. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is why I tell people to write their decision down. Ink on paper has power. When you write, you are no longer thinking. You are declaring. A written decision becomes a contract between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind takes contracts very seriously. Once a decision is made, the next phase begins. Training the mind to obey that decision, because the mind, left unattended, will drift back to fear, habit, and comfort. And comfort is the greatest enemy of transformation. This is where visualization enters, not as imagination, but as rehearsal. Every great achiever rehearses mentally before the world applauds physically. Athletes do it. Inventors do it. Leaders do it. They see themselves winning before the victory exists. And the brain, unable to distinguish between real experience and repeated imagination, begins to align behavior accordingly. This is why repeated inner images become external results. Your mind believes what you show it consistently, and once belief is established, behavior follows automatically. This is not motivation. This is programming. You are either programming your mind deliberately, or the world is programming it for you. There is no neutral state. And this brings us to the next law, the one that determines whether knowledge empowers you or leaves you overwhelmed. There is a dangerous misunderstanding that keeps intelligent people stuck for decades. They believe that knowledge is power. It sounds true. It feels true. But it is incomplete. Knowledge by itself is not power. It is potential power. And unused potential is the most painful form of waste. I met countless people who were read, highly informed, and endlessly busy, yet deeply frustrated. They knew what to do, but their lives never changed. Why? Because unorganized, unapplied knowledge creates confusion, not strength. Imagine a library filled with millions of books. If you do not know which book to open and how to use what you read, that library becomes a burden. Andrew Carnegie never considered himself a highly educated man, but he mastered something far more valuable. He knew how to organize knowledge and put it to work. He surrounded himself with people whose specialized understanding was sharper than his own. And instead of competing with them, he coordinated them. That is real intelligence. Power does not come from knowing everything. Power comes from knowing exactly what matters and acting on it relentlessly. This is where most people scatter their energy. They chase 10 goals at once, learn 10 skills at once, start 10 plans and finish none. Focus is not limitation. It is amplification. When you commit to mastering one field, your mind stops leaking energy, your confidence stabilizes, your decisions become faster, your value in the world increases. Every successful individual I studied reached a point where they said, "This is my domain." Not 5 domains, not endless curiosity, one direction. Once that decision was made, learning stopped being random. Books were no longer entertainment, they became tools. Videos were no longer distractions, they became training. Mistakes were no longer failures, they became feedback. And here is the critical rule. The moment you learn something useful, you must apply it immediately. Action seals knowledge into the nervous system. Without action, information remains external. With action, it becomes identity. This is why people feel motivated after watching videos, but unchanged a week later. Motivation fades, identity remains. If knowledge does not alter your behavior, it has not entered your subconscious. And your subconscious is the real decision maker. This is also why surrounding yourself with experts accelerates growth. You do not need to know everything. You need access to those who do. When you spend time with individuals who operate at a higher level, your standards recalibrate automatically. Your conversations change. Your tolerance for excuses disappears. Your sense of what is normal expands. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood forces in human achievement, the power of collective intelligence. No great empire was built alone. No lasting success was achieved in isolation. Behind every visible success exists an invisible structure of shared minds. And when minds align around a single purpose, something extraordinary happens. A force is created that does not exist in isolation. A third energy emerges, greater than the individuals involved. This is not poetry. This is observation. I witnessed it repeatedly. When the right minds came together with harmony, respect, and clarity, ideas evolved faster. Solutions appeared effortlessly. Momentum became unstoppable. This principle would later become one of the most important concepts in my work. But before we explore it fully, you must understand something fundamental. Your environment is either reinforcing your future or protecting your past. Every voice you listen to, every conversation you tolerate, every habit you repeat is shaping your trajectory. Growth does not happen accidentally. It is engineered, first internally, then externally. And the next law determines whether you rise alone or multiply your power exponentially. There is a reason why isolation feels heavy and collaboration feels electric. Human beings were not designed to grow alone. Every major breakthrough in history, every industry, invention, or movement was born from aligned minds. When I studied the most powerful achievers of my time, I noticed a pattern that appeared again and again. They never stood alone. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with dozens of brilliant minds. Henry Ford met weekly with Edison and Firestone. They debated. They challenged each other. They sharpened each other. And something unusual happened when these minds came together. Ideas moved faster. Problems dissolved quicker. Confidence multiplied. This is what I later named the mastermind principle. A mastermind is not just a group of people. It is a harmonized alliance of minds aligned toward a common purpose. When two or more minds work together in harmony, a third, invisible force emerges. This force does not belong to any individual. It belongs to the union. That is why people often feel stronger, clearer, and braver in the presence of the right group. But here is the truth most people avoid. The wrong environment will destroy the strongest intention. You can have talent. You can have vision. You can even have discipline. But if you remain surrounded by doubt, comfort, and small thinking, your progress will slow to a crawl. This is not personal. It is psychological. Your nervous system adapts to what it is exposed to most. If negativity is familiar, your mind treats it as normal. If ambition is rare around you, your goals will feel unrealistic. This is why successful people protect their environment fiercely. They are selective about who they listen to, where they spend time, and what information they consume. Not because they feel superior, but because they understand influence. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your standards, and your standards are shaped by your surroundings. That is why I tell people to deliberately choose 5 individuals they associate with most. Not randomly, not emotionally, strategically. People who think bigger than you. People who act with discipline. People who challenge excuses instead of comforting them. Over time, you will not need motivation. Your identity will shift automatically. And once identity changes, behavior follows without effort. But even with the right people, one challenge remains: persistence. Because success never arrives in a straight line. Every meaningful pursuit passes through resistance. Obstacles are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are proof that the path is real. I have seen countless individuals quit just inches from breakthrough, not because they lacked ability, but because they misinterpreted resistance as rejection. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. The moment you understand this, your relationship with struggle changes. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Persistence is not stubbornness. It is intelligent endurance. It is knowing when to adapt without abandoning the goal. Those who master persistence develop an inner calm. They stop reacting emotionally to temporary setbacks. They keep moving while others retreat, and eventually time rewards them. But persistence alone is still incomplete, because effort without direction leads to exhaustion. Which brings us to the next principle, the difference between being busy and being effective. Most people do not fail because they are lazy. They fail because they are misdirected. They work long hours. They stay busy. Their days feel full, and yet their lives remain unchanged. This creates a silent frustration, the kind that drains confidence slowly. I have seen men collapse not from lack of effort, but from effort applied in the wrong direction. Business feels productive, but it often hides fear. Fear of choosing, fear of committing, fear of focusing on one thing and letting everything else fall away. Let me be clear. Hard work alone has never guaranteed success. If it did, the hardest laborers on earth would be the wealthiest. But effort without direction is just movement. And movement is not progress. True progress comes from leverage. I once watched two men at work. One was breaking stones under the sun for 12 hours a day. The other sat quietly, drawing lines on paper. At the end of the week, one man was exhausted. The other had designed an entire structure that hundreds of workers would follow. Both were working hard, but only one was working intelligently. This is the difference between being busy and being effective. Every successful individual eventually learns this law. A small number of actions produce the majority of results. Not everything matters equally. Most of what you do in a day has little impact on your future, and a very small portion has enormous impact. This is known as the 80-20 principle. Roughly 20% of your actions create 80% of your outcomes. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they spend their lives perfecting the wrong 80%. They polish habits that do not move them forward. They improve skills that do not compound. They solve problems that do not matter. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Here is the uncomfortable truth. If your daily actions do not move you closer to your primary goal, they are distractions. Even if they look responsible, even if they look necessary, even if everyone around you is doing them. Clarity demands courage. Every night, before you go to sleep, ask yourself one question: what did I do today that directly moved me toward the person I intend to become? If you cannot answer that question clearly, you were busy, not productive. Productivity creates energy. Business drains it. The human mind is not designed to chase infinite tasks. It is designed to pursue meaningful direction. This is why simplifying your focus creates a surge of power. When you identify the few actions that truly matter and eliminate the rest, your mind relaxes. Your confidence rises. Your progress accelerates. Elimination is a form of intelligence. Successful people are not faster, they are selective. They say no often. They protect their time. They respect their attention. Time is the only resource that cannot be replaced. You can earn more money. You can rebuild lost relationships. You can relearn skills. But time, once spent, is gone forever. That is why those who understand time appear calm. They are not rushed. They are intentional. They design their days instead of reacting to them. And once you master direction, once effort aligns with purpose, a new challenge emerges. Not effort, not intelligence, but inner conflict. Because the next barrier to growth is not outside you. It lives quietly within. There is a silent battle happening inside most people. A battle they rarely acknowledge, but one that decides their financial destiny. On the surface, they say, "I want more money." But beneath that statement lives a contradiction. They admire wealth and secretly resent it. They desire abundance and quietly judge those who have it. This inner conflict is one of the greatest blocks to success. Money responds to clarity, not effort, not desperation clarity. From childhood, many of us were taught ideas that sounded noble, but carried hidden poison. Money isn't important. Rich people are greedy. Work hard and money will follow. These statements are not entirely false, but they are incomplete. And incomplete beliefs create confusion. Money is not good or bad. It is a tool. In the hands of someone unconscious, it amplifies greed. In the hands of someone conscious, it amplifies service. Money does not change character, it reveals it. Those who fear money often fear responsibility. Those who reject wealth often reject their own power. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you are aligned with. If you desire money but believe it corrupts, your actions will sabotage you. You will hesitate. You will underprice yourself. You will avoid opportunity. Not consciously, but automatically. This is why attraction matters more than pursuit. Chasing money creates tension. Attracting money creates flow. Attraction begins with relationship. How do you relate to money? Do you see it as dangerous, as scarce, as something meant for others? Or do you see it as energy, neutral, powerful, and responsive? Every prosperous individual reached a moment where they stopped apologizing for wanting more. They gave themselves permission to expand, not to impress, but to contribute. When your intention is service, wealth becomes a natural outcome. Problems attract money. Solutions attract wealth. The more lives you improve, the more resources flow toward you. This is not morality. This is mechanics. Money moves toward value. That is why mindset rituals matter. Not as superstition, but as alignment. Words repeated with emotion rewrite subconscious patterns. Every night before sleep, when the conscious mind softens, statements sink deeper. Not whispered, not rushed, declared. I am aligned with abundance. I create value. Money flows toward the work I do. I deserve prosperity because I serve. These are not wishes. They are instructions. Repeated consistently, they dissolve contradiction. Once conflict disappears, movement accelerates. And when alignment is complete, the next force awakens. A force far more powerful than logic or effort. The force that connects desire to reality. Most people believe their life is controlled by the choices they make consciously. That belief is comforting and completely false. Your conscious mind is only the gatekeeper. The real power, the real decision maker, operates quietly beneath the surface. Your subconscious mind. It does not argue. It does not analyze. It does not judge. It executes. Every habit you repeat, every automatic reaction you have, every pattern that keeps returning is governed by this deeper layer. And here is the truth most people never learn. Your subconscious mind is not logical. It responds to repetition, emotion, and imagery. This is why people promise themselves change again and again and still fall back into the same patterns. They try to change behavior without changing the command center. Willpower fights the subconscious. Programming guides it. When I studied the lives of extraordinary achievers, I noticed something subtle. They were not forcing themselves to succeed. They were conditioned for it. Their actions looked effortless because their identity was aligned. This alignment is not accidental. It is built. And it begins with autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is not wishful thinking. It is disciplined instruction. The subconscious mind accepts whatever is repeated consistently with feeling, whether it is empowering or destructive. This is why careless inner dialogue creates invisible limits. Every time you say, I'm not good with money, I'm unlucky, I always fail, you are issuing commands. The subconscious does not question them. It organizes your behavior to make them true. But the same mechanism can be used deliberately. When you speak a statement with certainty, when you feel it instead of merely saying it, the subconscious begins to adjust. Neural pathways reorganize, perception sharpens, behavior shifts, not overnight, but inevitably. The most powerful time to access the subconscious is just before sleep and just after waking. In these moments, the conscious mind relaxes and resistance drops. This is where transformation happens. Each night before sleep, sit quietly, slow your breathing, and speak clearly and calmly. I am becoming the person who creates value. My actions align with my purpose. I move confidently toward success. My mind works in my favor. Do not rush. Do not shout. Feel the words. Imagine them already true. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates belief. Belief creates behavior. This is not affirmation. This is conditioning. Within weeks, you will notice changes you did not consciously plan. Habits soften. Discipline feels natural. Opportunities feel closer. Because the subconscious is no longer resisting. It is cooperating. Once this internal alignment is established, a deeper power activates. The bridge between vision and reality. The force that allows you to move forward even when evidence is missing. Faith is one of the most misunderstood forces in human development. Most people confuse faith with hope. Others confuse it with blind belief. But faith, as it operates in success, is neither. Faith is applied certainty. It is the inner knowing that moves you forward before proof appears. When I spoke with great builders of industry, I noticed something striking. They did not wait for permission from circumstances. They acted from an inner conviction that reality would eventually adjust. This conviction did not come from fantasy. It came from repeated inner vision. Imagination is not escape. It is rehearsal. Every invention, every enterprise, every breakthrough was once held clearly in the mind before it existed in form. The mind must see first what the hands will later build. Those who dismiss imagination as childish remain bound to what already exists. Those who cultivate it deliberately shape what comes next. Faith begins when imagination becomes stable, not fleeting, not emotional, consistent. Henry Ford was ridiculed for insisting a certain engine could be built. Experts told him it was impossible, but impossibility is a word used by those who rely solely on current evidence. Ford relied on inner clarity. He had already seen the engine work, again and again, in the theater of his mind. Once the image became fixed, his actions aligned automatically. Doubt did not disappear. It lost authority. This is the role of faith. Faith does not remove fear. It makes fear irrelevant. You do not wait until you feel confident. You act until confidence is inevitable. This is why faith without action is useless, and action without faith is exhausting. Together, they form momentum. When you visualize with emotion, when you repeat that vision daily, your nervous system adapts. You begin making decisions from a different internal reference point. Opportunities feel recognizable. Risks feel calculated. Failure feels temporary. Faith changes your interpretation of events. Setbacks become information. Delays become refinement. Resistance becomes confirmation that you are moving beyond comfort. This is why those who operate with faith appear calm under pressure. They are not reckless. They are aligned. They know where they are going, even if they cannot yet see the road. Faith anchors identity before results arrive. And once identity shifts, results follow. But there is one final refinement, one that separates personal success from lasting fulfillment. It is the law that governs why some wealth multiplies while other wealth disappears. It is the law of service. There is a moment every serious seeker reaches, a moment when success stops being about survival and starts being about meaning. This is where many people become confused. They chase money, achieve a measure of it, and then feel an unexpected emptiness. Others struggle endlessly, never realizing that wealth was never meant to be chased at all. It was meant to be earned through service. The wealthiest individuals in history did not ask, "How can I make money?" They asked a deeper question. What problem can I solve? Whose life can I improve? What value can I create at scale? Money followed as a response. Henry Ford did not wake up dreaming of profit. He imagined a world where ordinary people could afford reliable transportation. Thomas Edison did not pursue wealth. He pursued light. Andrew Carnegie did not chase riches. He built infrastructure that strengthened an entire nation. In each case, money was the echo, not the voice. Service creates gravity. The greater the problem you solve, the stronger the pull of resources toward you. This is not charity. This is alignment. When your work improves lives, wealth becomes sustainable. When wealth is disconnected from contribution, it dissolves. This is why many people who get lucky lose everything later. Luck is temporary. Value is permanent. Your purpose is not something mystical waiting to be discovered in isolation. It is revealed through usefulness. Ask yourself, what frustrates people around me? What do they struggle with repeatedly? What can I do better, simpler, or more honestly? These questions lead to purpose. And purpose, once defined, creates energy. Energy attracts people. People create demand. Demand creates opportunity. This is the natural order. When service becomes your foundation, ambition becomes clean. You no longer feel guilty for wanting more, because more allows you to serve more. Wealth in this light is not indulgence. It is capacity. The capacity to build. The capacity to protect. The capacity to contribute. Those who understand this move differently. They invest in growth. They build systems. They think long term. They are not chasing outcomes. They are fulfilling roles. And once this realization settles, a final shift occurs. The shift from learning to commitment, because insight without commitment is entertainment. And knowledge without action is delay. There comes a quiet moment in every true transformation, not dramatic, not loud, a moment where something settles inside you. This is that moment. Up to now, you have listened. You have understood. You have recognized yourself in these laws. But understanding alone does not change a life. Lives change at the moment of decision. not emotional decision, not temporary excitement. A calm, grounded commitment to become someone new. From this point forward, you no longer ask if change is possible. You ask only how consistently you will apply it. This is the crossing point, the line between who you have been and who you are choosing to become. Look at your life honestly, not with judgment, with clarity. Everything you are experiencing now is the result of past thinking, past choices, past habits. And that is good news, because it means your future is not random. It is programmable. From this moment on, you begin living deliberately. You think with intention. You act with direction. You choose your environment carefully. You guard your time fiercely. You stop waiting for motivation. You operate from identity. You are no longer trying to succeed. You are becoming someone for whom success is natural. The world responds to identity. When you change how you see yourself, the world adjusts its behavior toward you. Opportunities appear. People respond differently. Your decisions feel clearer. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Set a horizon. 1 year from today. Imagine meeting yourself again, not as a dream, as a certainty. You stand differently. You think differently. You speak with quiet confidence. Your financial situation has shifted. Your standards are higher. Your habits are aligned. And you know exactly how it happened. Not through miracles, through laws, through discipline, through faith-backed action, through service, through persistence. This future version of you is not impressed by motivation. They respect consistency. They know that small daily actions, aligned with a clear purpose, reshape destiny. So now, do one final thing. Write your commitment. Not to me, not to the world, to yourself. Decide who you are becoming. Decide what you stand for. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. And then begin, quietly, relentlessly, faithfully. Because from this moment forward, your life is no longer an accident. It is a creation. I am Napoleon Hill. And I leave you with this truth. You were never meant to struggle forever. You were meant to awaken, to align, and to build. Your time has not passed. Your moment has arrived.